Hello again, Scorpio. It's April 2017, Dadhichi here from astrology.com.au. It's important to see your ruling planet, well, one of them anyhow, Mars, moving through your 7th house of relationships. But we do see the ruler of that area, Venus, the planet of love, and also for you in particular, specifically a love planet, marital planet, moving retrograde. And on the 3rd of April, moving back out of the 6th house into your 5th house. So what this means is a revisionary period, as I've said to many of the other star signs, but for certain star signs such as yours, this movement of Venus is particularly important. Important in the sense that if you've been working to patch up any problems in your relationship, you don't get into the mind games that are likely when, you've been working hard, you haven't got the reciprocation from your partner, and then the moment the partner takes a step forward, you play that cat and mouse thing. I think you need to avoid that. Certainly it's important to identify what areas need work. I think overall for Scorpio, there is an important improvement in relationships, but the distraction from a lot of other things in your life, your career, your sort of personal activities, may be the wedge between you and your partner. So it's an important time for you to be building bridges and to be making time. Time is the important thing for you right now. Time is the most valuable commodity. Time is what you have little of, and that is what you're going to have to work on. How can you replicate that? How can you duplicate yourself so that you can get all of those business and personal things done and still leave enough time for those in your life that count? After all, you're doing all of this for the people that count, so it's important that you have time to actually spend, just downtime, which has nothing to do with the sense of obligation or just not doing anything in particular, just being with those people. So if you can do that, I think that is probably the strongest meditation you can have this month. The new moon and the full moon takes place in the sign of Libra, your 12th house. So for some of you, this could be an issue of traveling, moving to another place. This could be a pilgrimage for some of you. The 12th house is a very spiritual house, and right now we see the spiritual planet Jupiter still transiting there, also in retrogression. There's a few planets in retrograde. The first one we mentioned there was on the 3rd, which is Venus. And then on the 11th, we see the 10th, I think it is. Let me have a look there. I'm getting my dates mixed up here. I've got my list here. Mercury moves retrograde. Oh, come on. I'm going crazy here on the 10th. So I was close enough. The day before the full moon. So that's interesting because the retrogression of Mercury moves back into the sign of Aries, and that happens to be your 6th house. So this has to do with health and work. This could be where you're trying to resolve things or get things going with your partner, and then out of the blue you have to change gear and maybe get stuck back into work. That could be rather sudden, or once that happens there could be sudden developments as seen by the close proximity of Uranus in that 6th house, the sign of Aries. How are we going so far? I hope I haven't lost you. You can always replay this, rewind it and go back over parts of it. The full moon is taking place in Libra, as I said, which shines a light on those inner recesses of your heart, those secrets that you want to remove, that cleansing of the subconscious and the unconscious. Meditation is the best way to do that. And then the full moon, which takes place again in your 7th house. So the marital and the relationship side of things seems to keep coming back into the picture this month, with the full moon there taking place with Mars. So this could produce, that's a new moon, that could produce rather reactive tendencies, but one that I believe is positive because Mars is your ruler and Moon is also a very friendly planet. And what you'll see there is an opportunity for you to actively and boldly change the direction of your relationship. Hopefully you have a partner that is amenable to some adventure, to some exploration, to doing things a little bit differently, and that is going to really cement the relationship strongly. Finances are still a little bit under a cloud. You're not going to escape that throughout the year, as I mentioned in the yearly overview. If you haven't had a look at that, you should do so. That's again to do with Saturn moving into, having been in your second house and not moving out of that until December 2017. And now, if the retrogression of Venus and Mercury wasn't enough, now you're going to have the retrogression of Saturn as well. And that takes place on the 6th, earlier on in the month. That has a very strong connotation of finance and monetary issues having to be reevaluated. Some of you who are working and have your own independent business may have to look at reallocating some of the duties to different employees, maybe rehiring some employees, getting rid of some. Saturn is the natural ruler of employees, moving through the area of finance and income, so that could be affecting you. You have to think outside the square. If you keep doing things the same way, you're not going to get new results. That's also indicated by the you've had this passing trine aspect to Uranus, the progressive planet, and now that it's going to go retrograde, it's going to go back into orb, and shows that you need to be really, really thinking outside the square. You can't afford to use the same tools that haven't worked. So this requires you to think in new ways, to seek out people who can help you think in new ways. And the intuitive word that's just jumped to mind is delegation. So you very much need to delegate your work during this period to get the best results. Don't in haste hire people who aren't going to do the job properly. You need to study their credentials and put them through the ringer before you put them on the payroll. I'm hoping to see you again next month, as I'm here every month. In the meantime, do pop in to my website, astrology.com.au. You can have a personal reading with me or some of my affiliates there if you wish. If not, there's a load of free stuff there, including the yearly reading for 2017, which will help you contextualize this one that I've just given you today, which of course is very, very brief, but hopefully useful to you. See you then. Take care now. Good luck. Bye-bye.